Thank you everybody for joining our webinar today. This is organized by Stand for All Makerspace at Diamond Mall, Subang Jaya, USJ Subang Jaya, together with the Eco Hub community. And we are organizing this in conjunction with the UN World Ocean Day, which is today, 8th of June 2021. Last Saturday was World Environment Day, and which was held, I think, with around the world as well. And Stand for All at Makerspace also celebrated the World Earth Day on April 22nd earlier, 2 months ago. And we had a series of workshops, physical workshops on composting, on herbal and medicinal plants, as well as recycling. So this is one of the events that take place regularly in conjunction with Stand for Makerspace. Now, we I like to just say a few words on what the Eco Hub community is all about. So, if I can screen share, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, clear.
So the Eco Hub community, we are an informal network of eco enthusiasts, and we are looking forward to cultivating eco-centric communities. So we try to develop community awareness at the grassroots level for the natural environment, green living, consumption, urban farming, waste management, and recycling. So we work at the local community level in Kuala Lumpur. We have been busy in Puchong, and we have incentives and rewards for community members to come forward with activities. At the moment, we are active with Stand for All and the Diamond Mall in Subang Jaya, and we really encourage communities to benefit from our activities to make and to market their products and services by developing the marketplace. So this is a summary of the activities we do, five basic levels that we have, including community and urban farming. And our resources are basically a network of speakers and experts in each of the specific areas. We include the business community heavily in our activities so that they can contribute. And for example, we have the participation of anchor partners like Stand for All and Diamond Mall in this case, and we'll have others as we move forward. And we like to think that we have synergy with other communities which we work with, such as the senior community, the education community, and other community organizations. So if I have to put a structure out, it's like this. So we have other communities built around certain interests, and we network and we synergize with them. And of course, with the Stand for All Makerspace community, which is really in the education space. So for these are some of the pictures of previous events that have taken place, the workshops, the herbal plant medicinal talks, use cooking oil workshop. And today, as a introduction to what we do with other communities, we'll have a short recorded presentation by a trio from the House of Violins, which have their outlet and place in Bukit Jalil. So they're going to present from Aladdin. It's a whole new world. So this is the Well, I hope you all enjoyed that piece. It's from Aladdin. It's a new world, I think, something like that, which I thought was quite relevant. And we asked them to pick a tune and something related to the environment and the ocean. So that's a light and enjoyable way to begin our webinar today. I'm going to pass the floor now to Ramesh, who will speak about the STEM for Makerspace.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for the introduction, Mr. Koo. Mr. Koo is very instrumental in bringing about today's program through his involvement with the many communities, the environment and the eco-conscious communities. So thanks to Mr. Koo, we have been more lively, at our STEM center with a lot of environment-based programs as per what he showed on his screen earlier. Yeah, so that's what we're doing with EcoHub communities. And today we are here to celebrate World Ocean Day. We've got three very distinguished speakers with us. The two main speakers will be Mr. Jack Kaura and Ms. Rina Ng. And also to support the team will be Dr. Adams, who will be the specialist in seahorse conservation in Malaysia. So we're so excited to hear more about it, right? So we have got quite a good audience. I just checked the YouTube. We've got about 20 of them watching on YouTube. And on this platform, I think we have got about 19 participants. So it's a modest number, but our main purpose of doing this is because we want the recorded materials to be shared. We will be sharing this with our databases. We've got thousands of students and teachers who are constantly looking for resource materials. So today's session will be recorded and we will share it on our YouTube. And so we would like to thank the speakers very much for making themselves available and also for sharing these materials. Lastly, I also would like to thank Diamond Mall, where we are based, for coming forward to say that they would like to engage their communities, meaning their shoppers and the residents around Daman, to be involved in acquiring new skills and knowledge through our series and program. So today is the very first day that we are doing one program in conjunction with World Ocean Day, but there's many programs lined up. Okay, so I think I would like to thank all our distinguished speakers, Mr. Koo, and we also have the team from STEM for All Makers. We have William and Miranda helping to make sure that things go on very smoothly. And I think Daryl is also at the backstage. Though we don't have a stage, he is then helping us to make sure that the video is well recorded and uploaded into our platform. So like I said, what we are here today is to create a content-rich platform. And with that, I think we shall go on to the next agenda, which I think Mr. Koo is going to introduce the speakers, or go through the next agenda, please.
Yeah, thank you, Ramesh. So without further ado, I'd like to call on Mr. Jack Kara to present, but let me give a very short introduction of Jack, as we normally call Jack. He's the MD of Algae International Berhad, and he's actually pioneered commercial algae cultivation in Malaysia. And this is very important because this is one of the few, if not the only, company that has made some breakthroughs in this area. And of course, Jack's entrepreneurial and business career goes back further than the last 10 years. He, like I mentioned earlier, graduated from the University of Malaya in chemistry, if I'm not mistaken. And since then, in the course of many decades, you have set up many businesses all over in Malaysia, in China, in Australia. And you found your way back here to Port Dickson, where you live now, and embark on Algae. So we are really waiting to hear from you and very keen to listen to your discoveries, your insights, and your uh, contribution of innovations and products to the business sector. Please, Jack, go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Koo, for the kind introduction and for everybody joining in today. Microalgae. Well, talking about the sea, there'll be no life in the sea unless there's microalgae. So fundamentally, it's fundamentally important for the sea. The base of the what it called food chain is just let me put this on first. Yeah, the base of the food chain is microalgae. So everything else sort of lives or beyond that. Microalgae are what makes the sea, the ponds, the lakes, and all that green or blue. And they are microscopic. They were the first plants on Earth. They created the oxygen atmosphere that we that allowed us to be here. And even till today, more than 50% of the oxygen released to the atmosphere is by microalgae. Plants, all the plants that we see release less than 50%. Um, and the, what I call um, the industry could be a huge industry, but because of the growing system, there is a there was a limitation on the size of the market. I'll come to it later, but this talk is in a few parts. My first part is microalgae have the potential to transform earth and human health. Second part is why their growth has been stunted and how it's about to change. Third, the start of the food revolution, the Joseon's all food 45 essentials. Then other products from microalgae and how we can all join this revolution. Microalgae have a huge genetic base, and we can get almost everything from microalgae. They were the first plants on Earth. Some of them became macroalgae, which is seaweed, and some of those became plants. So the genetic base of plants is a lot smaller than microalgae. They grow very fast. Uh, it's easy to understand why, because, for example, the oil palm, to get to the fruit, you need the roots, the trunks, the branches, the leaves, the fruit bunch, and then the fruit. So there's a lot of infrastructure losses, while microalgae are 100% fruit. So if you have the right conditions, they grow very fast. And if magically we could convert uh, all agriculture into microalgae, we need less than 1% of the global agricultural land to supply the same amount of biomass. Now that would be lovely because we could release back to nature a lot of the land. However, that's not going to happen because the microalgae can produce all the basic materials, but they can't produce, let's say, durians. You know, they can't, there are things that they can't produce, but the basics can all be produced from there. Microalgae has been stated to be the healthiest of food many times at the United Nations food conferences going back to 1974. And of course, they are the darling of the environmentalists because they are by far the most efficient in releasing oxygen. This graph of what I call showing the magical uh, oil palm uh, producing maybe 6 tons of oil per hectare per year, which is way above the national average. National average is, I think, about 4.8 tons. But this graph does not do justice to microalgae. Microalgae can produce more than 100 tons, but the graph would look very strange if I put it up to its actual productivity. take it for granted that they are hugely productive and they can produce lots and lots of different all the basics and including all that you see on the screen plus uh, antibiotics, um, materials for face creams, materials for cosmetics, and much healthier than from plants. This is one of two slides that the National University of Singapore has done. It shows you their thinking too of what you can do. I didn't want to put in their slide because it's just a lot more additional things. But again, take it for granted that microalgae can produce the basic materials for lots and lots of things. Now, if they're so good, they're healthy, they're the best for the food. They are also grow very fast. They are the best for the environment. Why is it that the market is so small? The current estimate of the market is a few tens of thousands of US dollars, tens of billions of US dollars, which is nothing compared to what their potential is. Their potential is in the trillions of US dollars. The reason for that is very simple. It is a system of growing the microalgae. Almost all microalgae are grown in raceway ponds like that thing that you see on the top right-hand corner of the slide. This has major problems. Number one, their productivity is not as high as microalgae are capable of. Beyond that, since it's open, microalgae can live in the air. And if we're growing species A, species B, C, D can come in and contaminate. Well, contaminate is maybe not the right word, but you get a multiple of species. So you don't have one species growing in the so only about a dozen species can be growing in these raceway ponds. And those species are ones where they have a very special requirement. For example, spirulina. Spirulina is pH 9 or 10, and nothing much can survive at that high pH. So all these dozen or so species that grow in the raceway ponds are species with either very special growing conditions, or they grow super fast that they can overcome everything else. They dominate everything else. But you don't, those species you won't get 100%, but you get majority of it. Now, the other problem with them is that these open raceway ponds, they contain very healthy microalgae. So rats, mice, birds, and everything else can get into the ponds. And the big problem is that the product smells of the pond rubbish. This is a big problem because you want a product which hasn't got a smell or taste, because then you can put it into any type of food and you won't change the smell or the taste. But if there's a smell and taste of the pond rubbish, you cannot do that. So that is what is limiting the market. This is what I decided to dedicate my life on. And the idea was to grow them in closed systems so that the product is clean. If microalgae are clean, they do not have smell or taste. And they can then be used in almost anything. My first patent was published by the World Intellectual Property Organization on the 4th of September 2008. This was a major sensation because up to then, the belief was that no closed system can be competitive. What I did was what I call the floating bed method. Now, once this was published, many research centers, including NASA, Weizmann Institute in Israel, the Chinese, the Japanese, Europeans, they all tried out my system. That second what I call image on the at the bottom or in the middle of the thing is from NASA, which is exactly the floating bed method that I patented. And they started about 10 months after my patent was published. I was very happy about that. Why? Because my objective was to help the world to grow microalgae. So by all these people copying me, it showed, number one, it showed that I was on the right track. Number two, it brought back everybody to start looking at closed systems. So since then, quite a lot of research has been done on closed systems. And it's only closed systems that can grow the industry to the scale it can. I've mentioned before that microalgae are healthy as a food. Now, vegetarian food is good if we can balance it. It's better than meat. But vegetables, plants have actually are not that innocent. They have evolved to be able to protect their children. And their children are their seeds. We eat their seeds, so they don't like us eating that. So what the plants do is they put in things which are not good for us, like gluten in wheat and many other things. For example, there's a symbiotic relationship with groundnuts and aflatoxin because they don't want it to be eaten. But we have a biological battle going on. We overcome it. Then plants will put in something else. But this biological battle is not good because a lot of our aging is due to the biological battle. Microalgae are primitive and they essentially don't have a defensive system. So we don't have to battle them. And if our food was all microalgae, we'll age much slower. So, but again, if we have to have closed systems to make that industry big. Now, beyond that, the world is moving moving towards what I call a food revolution, and there are many symptoms of that, the Beyond Beef and all. But I think the biggest single revolution will be when we can produce healthy microalgae and convert that into healthier food. And in essence, if we could have the Beyond Beef from microalgae than plants, it'll be a lot healthier. Now, what we have done is we have gone one step further. In essence, there are 47 essentials for life: water, oxygen, and the 45 food essentials. Using microalgae as a base, but adding on other things, we have produced a powder which has got all the 45 food essentials, which we call Joson's all 45 essentials. And this can be the starting point of our revolution. In the food industry did start putting in vitamin D, vitamin C, and all that. It has to progress to putting in all the essentials. And this is what I call the European sailors suffered from scurvy because of lack of vitamin C. And they suffered and died. You'll be surprised to learn that all the other 44 essentials have exactly the same problem with humans. Where humans have same problems with all the other 4. If we are low on them, we got sick and we If they go very low, we land up in hospital. Go zero, we are dead. That's why they call essentials. So it's fundamentally important to have all your 45 essentials. Now, what are the 45 essentials? 9 are amino acids. The one on the left-hand side are the essentials. There are some conditional essentials because they can be produced by the body, which is in the center line. But sometimes for some conditions, we need a lot more, which means that which at that time the body is not able to produce enough. So in those times, we need the conditional essentials too. The rest of them are the minerals, the 20 of them, 13 vitamins, and the essential oils, which are the omega-3s, the ALA, the DHA, EPA. So that makes up all the 45 essentials. As I mentioned, the food industry has already started to enhance with vitamin C and D. It will have to continue adding on more and more items to complete all the 45 essentials. And that would be the ideal. And we are developing many other things like chocolate bars, meal bars, many other things. This is the leaflet for our distributor in Australia. They've tested it, they've tried it, they've found that there's a lot of improvement in health. People do not fall sick as much as without all the 45 essentials. Now, just going back a bit more, it's known that internally caused diseases, about 95% of internally caused diseases, like COVID-19 is an externally caused disease. By internally caused diseases, about 95%, the precursor to that is the metabolic syndrome. The metabolic syndrome is mostly due to our food, and it's mostly due to overeating. And it's overeating is not because we lack calories. We already got too much of calories. But overeating is because our body feels just like when we are underwater, we are drowning, we need oxygen. Our body will struggle to get up to get the oxygen. Our body also struggles to get all the 45 essentials. So it always wants to eat. It wants to eat more. If you have all of 45 essentials at a high level, you do not feel hungry. So this is quite dramatic, this one. And if you do not overeat to just get all the 45 essentials, and you got them already in your diet at a high level, you will naturally eat a lot less. In a lot less meaning less than half of what we normally eat. And this we've been quite a number of people have been taking it, and it does amazing what I call things to disease. It can even reverse a lot of disease. I'm a living example of it. I had so many diseases, all gone. For 36 years, I was on hypertension medication, gone. I don't have to take any medication now. So many, I don't want to list all the diseases I had, but they're all gone. Yeah, as stated earlier, microalgae can produce a lot of things, almost everything we need. The only problem is if you want a banana as a banana, you can't get one. Or do you want a durian, you can't get that. But the basic ingredients in that can be obtained. And there are now, food science has got to a point where our food can be reconstituted from the basic elements into most of the food that we eat. As I said earlier, microalgae potential is easily in the trillions of US dollars. Now, what do we want to do with this? Why did I spend so much of time, effort to develop all this technology? It's not so much about money, because I'm really not interested in large amounts of money, just enough to, and I'm comfortable enough not to worry about it. But my objective is for the planet and all its life, to develop the founds, and I want to try and promote microalgae as fast as I can around the world. And the number of projects possible is so massive, so many. Just thinking about it, the oil palm produces only edible oil, and there are thousands of plantations. Microalgae can produce edible oil, plus protein, plus carbohydrates, plus everything you name it. So how many projects could there be? There could be tens of thousands of them. So everybody is welcome to join us. And all I want to do is move these projects as quick as I can. The key point is that we have got systems to grow microalgae in clean, closed systems, which are very economic now. We can be very economic compared to even with agriculture. For example, protein. We can produce microalgae protein, which would be healthier than any of the plant proteins or animal proteins, cheaper than you can produce from plants or from animals. That's one example, but many other examples. And we are very happy to share this. We are happy to joint venture. We got fully costed technology and I believe we can get low cost funding for this project. And whoever's got a market for anything, we are prepared to talk to them. Whoever wants to go into anything that they can market, we are happy to go with them. And we also want to go into many other things, beta carotene. By the way, for example, beta carotene, Malaysia is producing beta carotene from palm oil, but the content of it is on average, it varies a bit from plantation to plantation, but on average is about 0.012% of the oil. But we can grow microalgae which are 16% of the total weight. So it's a huge difference, and the productivity is way higher, and also, of course, it's cheaper to do it from microalgae. So again, what I call not only joint ventures, but if you're a distributor of products, please contact us, because we want to market these things, and we want to cooperate with all many companies around the world. That's our contact details. Thank you all very much for listening in. I'll be very happy to answer questions. Thank you. I can't hear anything. Nobody's. You got to unmute yourself, whoever is speaking.
Yeah. Excellent presentation. Thank you so much, Mr. Jack. I think it was so very enlightening. I mean, at least to me as a layperson, that so many users, and congratulations for the patent and innovation that you have developed. I think what is lacking is probably the awareness. Yeah?
Yes.
So,
yes.
we would be very pleased to create greater awareness. We've got ample of space in our STEM for All makerspace. Perhaps at the end of this session, I'll take you a tour, a 360 tour of what we have. Perhaps we can also set a dedicated corner to show the innovation and also the products that you have created, in our efforts to help create greater awareness.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll be pleased to do that. But I welcome any other questions. If there's any other questions on both our platforms, the Zoom platform, the chat, or anybody wish to, we can allow
Ramesh, maybe we can take the questions after Rihanna.
after Rena. Okay, fine.
So I'd like to go on to the next part of our webinar, and that's to introduce Rihanna Ng, who is the project leader for the Tracing of Seahorses project, which is a joint project, I believe, between University of Malaya and the NGO called Saving Our Seahorses, or SOS. And I believe you are a graduate from the University of Otago in New Zealand, and you're currently doing your master's in University of Malaya. And you work very closely with Dr. Adam Lim, who will also chip in every now and then. And if maybe at the end of your presentation, he will say a few things. So we'll also open the floor to him. Please go ahead, Rihanna.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Koo, for the introduction. Am I able to share screen? If
Yes, please.
Just a moment, I'll unshare.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Right. Hi, everyone. First of all, happy Oceans Day. Well, Oceans Day. First of all, I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. I'm so excited to be here with everyone and to share more about seahorses and the project that we are currently working on. So let's start with what's a seahorse. So for many years, people were wondering exactly what sort of animal they really are. It was once thought to be a horse, or believed to be a type of insect, an amphibian, or perhaps an odd-looking crustacean like a prawn or shrimp with no legs. So after years of discussion, it was finally agreed that seahorses are fishes. But why is a seahorse a fish when they look nothing like a typical fish at first glance? It is because they live in water. They breathe through gills. They have an internal airbag called the swim bladder, which keeps them afloat underwater. So these are characteristics that are present in your everyday fish. Seahorses are from the family called Cygnethidae. So members of the family Cygnethidae are also called cygnethids. Cygnethids are directly translated to fused jaws, which means they do not have jaws like us that can open up entirely when we eat, for example. So for seahorses and their relatives, fused jaws relates to a straw-like mouth. So other relatives of seahorses includes pipe fishes, pipe horses, and sea dragons. Although sea dragons are a popular member of the family, they are not found in Malaysia, but only seen in Australia and New Zealand. So pipe fishes are elongated like a pipe, so with a straw-like mouth as well. Seahorses are known to have a pipefish-like ancestor with elongated posture, like in a pipefish, that eventually evolved to an upright posture, like in a seahorse. So long before their true identity was revealed, seahorses were scientifically named hippocampus, where all seahorses come under a single genus, Hippocampus. So in Latin, hippos is translated to horse, and campus is sea monster. So moving on to seahorse parts. A seahorse is known to have a head of a horse, eyes of a chameleon, a pouch of a kangaroo, and the tail of a monkey. So here we can see that the head of a horse is very much resembles, the head of a seahorse very much resembles a horse. And seahorses have an excellent eyesight, and their eyes can work independently on either side of their tail, either side of their head. Okay, so this means that they can look forward and backwards at the same time. They are also the only fish in the world with a neck. So their neck and snout is always pointing downwards. Seahorses also have 4 fins altogether. So they have 2 pectoral fins, 1 dorsal fin, and 1 anal fin. The pectoral fins on either side of the head helps to navigate in the ocean. So when it comes to movement, seahorses are quite poor swimmers, unfortunately. So they rely on their dorsal fin to move forward. The anal fin is mainly for stability, and they do not have a caudal fin at the end. Instead, they have a prehensile tail that looks very much like the tail of a monkey. So a prehensile tail is a unique characteristic of bony fishes, which allows seahorses to hold on to things like seagrasses, corals, and branches. Then we see a kangaroo-like pouch here that is only found in male seahorses. So these are all key features that makes up a seahorse. So all sygnathids have fused jaws. So this, the top picture at the top is a zoomed in view of a seahorse snout. Seahorses use it like a straw to suck up their prey. So now that we know how they eat, what exactly do they eat? So seahorses are completely carnivorous. They are one of the most top predators at the bottom of the ocean. So any animal that can fit into the snout of a seahorse will most likely be eaten by them. For example, worms, shrimps, copepods, fish larvae, and they eat all the time. An adult seahorse can eat up to 4,000 preys a day, and it takes them about 200 milliseconds to suck up their prey, so very quickly. The chameleon-like eyes of a seahorse, which moves independently on either side of their head, is particularly useful as they hunt for food by sight. So on top of their ability to move their eyes forward and backwards or right and left at the same time, they can also rotate their eyes. So they are very much visual top predators. So unlike most other fishes, seahorses have an exoskeleton. Their bodies are made up of hard external bony plates that are stacked up one on top of the other with a thin layer of skin covering the bones. So there are 2 major groups of seahorses. There are the spiny seahorses and the smooth seahorses. Generally, spiny seahorses have spines covering their body, whereas smooth seahorses have no bumps in their body. Seahorses are also able to camouflage, so they do that by growing filaments, and they drop them off once they don't want them, as shown in the picture at the bottom right. So besides growing filaments to camouflage, they can also change color. So when they are happy, they turn really bright, and when they are stressed, they turn dark. For example, this type of pygmy seahorse right here can camouflage to look exactly like their habitat. And their tails are actually squared and not round. So this square-shaped structure is very useful to gain stability when they're at the bottom of the ocean. And the size of an adult seahorse can range from 2 centimeters, which is about the size of our fingernail, to more than 30 centimeters, which is as long as your forearm. So seahorses are solitary most of the time. But at least once in their lifetime, a female seahorse will pair up with a male seahorse for life. So what happens is they will meet first thing in the morning to strengthen their pair bond with a dance. And the female meets the male in his territory, and they approach each other. They change color. So they meet every morning. The dance can last for up to an hour. So once over, the female goes back home. But how do they communicate to meet in the first place? So seahorses actually produce sounds underwater. It sounds like when you snap your finger. So every seahorse individual has a special sound of its own. Seahorses are also the only creatures where the male gets pregnant and gives birth. So after days of dancing, the female would transfer her eggs to the male, which the male fertilizes in his pouch. The number of eggs that is transferred can range from 50 to 150 for smaller species, and it can go up to 1,500 for larger species. The males get pregnant for an average of 14 to 21 days, So even when the male is pregnant, the pair will still dance every morning. And when it is time, the male will give birth to hundreds to thousands of seahorse fry at once, and the process can last up to 12 hours. But it doesn't end there. On the same day, the males that give birth can become pregnant again. So this goes on for the rest of their lives. This group of unique marine fishes can be found in habitats at the bottom of the ocean, such as seagrass, seaweed, sandy bottoms, coral reefs, and mangroves. So seahorses are found all across the globe except for the Arctic and Antarctic. Currently, there are 46 described species in the world, and in Malaysia, we have a total of 12 species. So why are seahorses important? Seahorses make an excellent flagship species in marine conservation. They are well known for their importance in many ways, such as ecological and biological, cultural, economical, and medicinal. So let's explore them one by one. We'll start with how they are important ecologically and biologically. So here's a typical food web of a seahorse. So imagine if we take out the seahorse. The shrimps which they feed on will overgrow because less predators are eating them. Therefore, there will be more shrimps eating more seaweeds or seagrasses. So this phenomenon is called a domino effect, which is an effect that occurs when a big change in the presence or absence of one species, causing further changes to other organisms in the community. So if we do that, the food web will be affected because seahorses play an important role as a top predator in making sure the whole food web is balanced. And seahorses are basically like sharks at the bottom of the ocean. So it's extremely important that we protect seahorses in their natural habitat. In terms of their cultural importance, in Greek mythology, for example, we see Poseidon's chariot is being pulled by two seahorses. And then we have a type of spiny seahorse called Hippocampus spinosystemus that were included into the logo of the Majlis Daerah Mersing in Johor. And in one of the fishing jetties in Johor, there are two seahorse structures right at the front. So according to locals, those seahorse structures represent how there used to be a lot of seahorses in that area, but they are said to be almost extinct these days because fishermen rarely see them anymore. But not only in Malaysia, they are very much represented all around the world. For example, in Ireland, there are pairs of seahorses all along the bridge. So beautiful architectures. Seahorses also play a huge role in our daily life in terms of culture and our well-being. So with that, there would be people who sell and buy seahorses. So it shows that they play an important role in our economy as well. So why do people buy seahorses? Like, what are they used for? One of the reasons is for their medicinal properties. So far, we know that seahorses are commonly used by the Chinese and Malay community in Malaysia. Seahorses are said to cure asthma, treat skin conditions, cool down their body, cleanse the blood, and many more health benefits. It is common among the Chinese community in Malaysia to boil dried seahorses in water and sometimes with other herbs. There are also capsules containing seahorse as one of the ingredients, as shown in this picture right here. So seahorses are never the main ingredient, but always part of the recipe that makes up the traditional medicine. So as we know, Malaysia is home to many different ethnic groups and is so rich in culture. So how Malaysians use seahorses for medicine could be quite different. And it also depends on the illness and condition that you are wanting to treat. The Malay community also consumes seahorses to obtain similar health benefits, but they would usually burn seahorses to extract their ointment, or they grind them into powder to add to their coffee. They boil in water or with mixed herbs, and sometimes they even eat them deep fried as crackers. So now we mostly know how the Chinese and the Malay community uses seahorses, but we realize that we really don't know much about any potential use of seahorses by the Indian community or the indigenous community in Malaysia. So one of the threats that seahorses face is the dried and live seahorse trade. In general, most of the dried seahorses are traded for traditional medicine or curios, meaning made into souvenirs, keychains, or jewelries. Live seahorses are often kept as pets, but it is in fact very difficult and expensive to care for them. Malaysia is very involved in the trade of seahorses because a large area of the sea surrounding us are very important habitats to them. In Malaysia, seahorses are either sold in the country or they are often exported out of the country and sold in other Asian markets, for example. So about 1 kg of dried seahorses can be sold for more than 3,000 ringgit. And the seahorses that are sold in Malaysia, if imported, are usually imported from mainland China, Hong Kong, Japan, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, and Singapore. Malaysia is also one of the top 5 countries in the world who exports our dried seahorses to countries like China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. Live seahorses in Malaysia are exported lesser compared to dried seahorses, and most of the time, live seahorses are imported into Malaysia. But the exporting of live seahorses is in fact illegal in Malaysia. So trawl fisheries is another threat. This diagram here shows how it works. Trawl nets are large nets that are dragged along the seabed, catching shrimp and everything in their path. So any kind of marine animals that are living in the area where this is happening often gets caught by trawlers, so not just seahorses. Unfortunately, trawling is one of the most common fishing methods resulting in the loss of seahorse bycatch. Bycatch is marine species that are caught unintentionally when catching other target species. So bycatch from trawlers have known to be the largest source of seahorses in international wildlife trade. So that means most of the dried seahorses we see being sold in the market were most probably caught as bycatch by large-scale trawlers, but also by other fishing gears. So seahorses have been caught by trawlers off the coast of Peninsular Malaysia, Sarawak, Sabah, so all across the country. Besides being caught incidentally, there are people who intentionally target and catch seahorses, but it is less common compared to those that are caught as bycatch. Trawling is not only a threat to seahorses, but this destructive fishing method also negatively affect the seabed habitats that seahorses rely on. So when we look at all those threats, it is clear that seahorses are a species of great conservation concern. They are heavily traded, especially in Southeast Asia, including Malaysia. And there is also limited understanding of the cultural aspect of seahorse usages. As the last seahorse trade survey in Malaysia was conducted 2 decades ago, and having a lack of knowledge on seahorse fisheries and trade, we need recent information to really find out the current extent of seahorse trade, both locally and internationally. And this will help us to move towards legal and sustainable seahorse trade more effectively, as well as show how important it is to strengthen our existing laws on seahorse trade and get seahorses to be at least partially protected in Malaysia. So with all that in mind, I would like to introduce to you Tracing Our Seahorses. So Tracing Our Seahorses is a national seahorse survey that we are currently fundraising for. So what is this project about? With this project, we are documenting the cultural beliefs and perceptions of Malaysians on seahorses, as well as the local knowledge of seahorse trade. So one of the surveys that we are currently conducting is the Fisher Survey, where we visit fishing ports or villages all around Peninsular Malaysia to interview fishermen to ask whether they have caught seahorses. So if yes, what do they usually do with those seahorses? Do they sell them? Do they keep them for their personal use? And if they keep them, what do they use it for exactly? As consumed as medicine, or simply as decorations, or for spiritual purposes? Then we also ask them what they know about the threats that seahorses face. So that is the fisher survey. We also have the traditional medicine survey, where we interview traditional medicine practitioners. So basically asking them whether they sell seahorses in their shops, and if they do, what are the dried seahorses used for in traditional medicine? How do they prepare it? So like a recipe, where do they get those seahorses from? From Malaysia or imported from other countries? What is the amount of dried seahorses that they are able to sell within a period of time? And how much and for how much? So those kinds of trade information. Besides the traditional medicine trade, the aquarium and curio trade are also ways that seahorses are being traded in Malaysia. So we are also working closely with aquarium fish traders and curio traders, mostly to obtain some information on where do they get their seahorses from, and if they sell them, again, whether locally or overseas, how often do customers come in to buy them, how much they sell them for, and really get their opinion on how valuable it is to sell seahorses for their business. And finally, we have an online public survey, which applies to members of the public, where we ask you whether you have consumed seahorses, for what health benefits, if it is for medicinal purpose, or if you have used seahorses in other ways, like keeping them as an ornament or as keychains for religious or spiritual purposes. And not only your personal use of seahorses, do you know anyone, family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, who uses seahorses in any way? So any sorts of experience you may have had involving seahorses, we would love to know. So if you're wondering how you can play a part in seahorse conservation or be part of this project, you can participate in this public survey, which only takes about 5 minutes. And we would love to know what you think about that. So before I end, I would like to thank our funder, Yayasan Haji Zainuddin, and the Incitement, where we are currently fundraising. Also, Dr. Amy and Dr. Adam for your support, and the undergraduate students and interns for your contributions in various ways of this ongoing project. With that, thank you very much to everyone for being here. If you would like to contribute to this ongoing project, we are actually doing a crowdfunding again through the Incitement. So here is the QR code to the crowdfunding donation. And if you're interested to know more about the project, feel free to follow us on our SOS Facebook and Instagram page, or you can contact me directly. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Rana. That was fantastic and very informative. Okay, we are back now. Before we go on to the next, I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Adam Lim. If you'd like to say a few words, Adam.
All right. Thanks, Koo. So basically, what Rihanna presented is our ongoing project. We just started this time in March this year. So it's called Tracing Our Seahorses. So SOS, just a little bit background, Save Our Seahorses Malaysia has been established since 2005. Over the many years, we have been, working on the ground, looking for seahorses, studying them directly in their natural habitat. So, and along the way, we also integrate, citizen science where people can participate, to help us out to look for seahorses, help us out in terms of whether it's scuba diving or we can organize different kinds of field excursions to look out for seahorses where possible. But over the years, of course, we understand how the world has changed, with what we are going through with the pandemic and with things like that. But we also want to turn how we do science a little bit on a reversal side. This time we want your help. We have been working tirelessly, I think, since 2005 through Save Our Seahorses Malaysia. But this time around, we want to include every Malaysian where possible, coming from different demographics, different ethnicity, different age group, Why are we doing so? Many times growing up, even for myself, even by studying seahorses, we found out that, we're always listening to seahorses through cartoons, through stories, through myths and legends from all around the world. But that one question that really hit, especially towards the early parts of last year, was like, what is our story? What is the true Malaysian seahorse story? So this is how this whole project, tracing our seahorses came about. And here's where we want to ask you, we want to collect any kind of news, any kind of information, whether you heard of them growing up or whether you use them directly or indirectly. Help us out with this form, with this public survey form. And this is where we're going to reach out to every Malaysian, whether we are, can do this digitally, just not through a form, but help us out, along with this work. And then we collect, at the end of the day, we want to be able to, analyze, gather everything up together and present it to get the seahorses the protection that they require here in Malaysia. As it stands, seahorses are not protected in any way in Malaysia. So here we are trying to work something out, along with your help, with your participation, to get seahorses some kind of protection moving forward.
Oh, thank you so much, Adam. Just a quick question on my part. How long does the survey and this project last? When does it continue until?
All right, we'll be continuing throughout for most of this year, towards the end of 2020.
Okay.
We're hoping to get the bulk of the data, or a lot of the responding surveys by this year. Otherwise, throughout towards the middle of next year.
Okay, that's good. Ramesh, would you like to take the forum through the Q&A now, perhaps? Ramesh, you need to unmute. Oh dear.
All right, sorry. Thanks again, Reina and Dr. Adam. It was very, very enlightening. And from the comments that I see, many of them, we have quite a few young students as well. They seem to be very impressed and are quite thankful. So let me go through some of the questions that have been posted on our chat. The first series of questions and comments is directed to Jack. All right. This comment comes from Malar. She says, very informative, Jack. Thanks for sharing. Question, is farming microalgae labor intensive? Asking on the grounds of providing more and fair employment.
It's not so labor intensive. In fact, what I call on equivalent tons of biomass produced, microalgae are much lower labor intensive. But my contention is that change is the only constant. We have to move on. We have to actually become more efficient. We have to use less labor. Otherwise, Malaysia will be stuck in the middle income trap. We need to move on to industries like microalgae, where the labor is less per ton of biomass than current agriculture.
Great. Okay, so that answers to Malar's first question. Malar has another short question asking also with the view of potential of converting current plantation industries to this.
Very good question. I was asked that question by Mosti, and I worked out that if we converted only 3 million hectares of the palm oil industry to produce jet fuel, we could supply the entire jet fuel of the world, which was required in 2019 when I was asked that question. That would mean a value many times the entire oil palm industry. So Malaysia could do extremely well in transiting to microalgae.
Oh, okay, that's a very positive response. That the answer is yes. Okay, so I think we just hope that we can continue to create this awareness so that more of our youngsters probably can venture into this from a startup or or what do you call a new business. Okay. One more question that was posed for Jack. This is from Mr. Petri Martinen. And his query is that his first comment was that this is really eye-opening and interesting indeed. To scale up, would we or could any of the IR 4.0 technologies be used, i.e. IoT and AI?
Yes, there are many of the IoTs and other technologies can be used. For example, we need to monitor the various conditions of the culture. We need to monitor the growth. We need to monitor quite a number of things, and that's where all these things can come in. So if anybody has expertise on that, I'll be very happy to talk to them. I specifically did not want to do automation purely because the best way to understand everything is to do it manually first.
Yeah.
But now we need to go to automation on these type of things. So we'll be very happy to talk to anybody who's got expertise in that.
Yes, perhaps, at the end of this session, if there's any contacts or email, Jack, you can share on the chat. And those who are really keen, please do feel free to follow up through the contacts that the speakers will share on our platform. Like, for example, we have had this comment from Jason Chong. Rena, if you could please put the link in the public form here, which I think Rena has done so, right? So thanks, that's done. And another question from Malar to Rena. Thanks, Rena. Eye-opening information for me. We'll check out the SOS com sites after this, all right? Through the lens of how some corporate entities could look at this area under CSR sustainability. I think this is more of a comment, yeah? Yeah, so you've got, I think Malar must have got some strong influence with some organizations or perhaps those who are doing CSR, and I think she has volunteered to take it up to some of them. Malar, if you wish to share your contact with Reena and Dr. Adams, please feel free. I think part of this whole session is also to make sure that there is a strong network that we can help to bridge. All right, so I'll go on to the next question. We are okay with time. We are at 5:10.
More than enough time.
We got another.
Mr. Ramesh?
Yes.
I actually have a question some questions for Jack.
Sure.
Sorry, I don't think you noticed I put up my hand.
Sorry, I
electronically. No problem.
I missed that. Sorry. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Jack. Just a follow-up question to what Marla has asked just now, but then I have two more questions which are quite different. So, yeah, I appreciate that this would be so much more productive and beneficial than palm oil. My question would be, how expensive would it be to invest in this transformation from a palm oil operation to a microalgae, producing farm?
Very interesting question, because yes, the capex is high on microalgae,
right.
But there are actually practically no inputs. The only inputs are sunlight, water, and fertilizer. But the fertilizer usage is very, very, very efficient, because if you take the oil palm, what happens is when you put the fertilizer, a lot of it is lost. It's either washed away or goes too deep, or it's used up for other biomass than the production of the fruit itself. While everything in what I call microalgae is all used for the fruit itself. So very small costs. So running costs for microalgae are actually very low. But in terms of capex, if you talk about per hectare, it's very much higher than the oil palm. I'm not quite sure of the exact latest costing of oil palm per hectare, but in microalgae, we need to spend about 3 million per hectare. The difference is this. On a per hectare basis, in terms of the returns per hectare, microalgae would be at least about 150 to 200 times as much as the oil palm. So on a return basis, the capex is lower than oil palm.
Right, I understand that. Okay, thanks, Jack. So, okay, I'm going to completely change the angle of my questions now. See, from a traditional agricultural point of view, meaning on land or normal crops, there is a huge concern about how monocropping is actually very bad for the soil, right? And this is obviously going to be a form of monocropping. And on top of that, you've mentioned that fertilizers will be used. So if you could clarify on those, I mean, to what extent they will have an impact on our environment in terms of producing it artificially, yeah? Because, I mean, obviously, we are not producing it naturally in the sea. And then number two, it comes down to the health benefits of microalgae that you were talking about. Again, I mean, in some circles, you would find that there's a lot of encouragement to eat whole foods, right? A whole fruit, a whole vegetable, rather than a processed food that has come from any particular thing and made into something else. Yep. So I would appreciate it if you could, give your thoughts on these two things, mainly monocropping and consumption of whole foods.
Excellent. You're very good. Monocropping. Number one, because you need only 1% of the agricultural land of the world to produce the same biomass, monocropping is on a very, very small area. Number two, still on the monocropping. Number two is that we actually do not do it on land. It is a closed system, so it does not touch the soil itself. Going next to your fertilizer question. What the one thing is absolutely wrong in the organic movement is that in chemistry, a nitrogen atom is a nitrogen atom, is a nitrogen atom, is a nitrogen atom, whether it comes from the back of a cow or back of a chicken or back of anything, or it comes from air. It is always a nitrogen atom. It does not change. Same with all the other NPKs. That means that what they are talking about, the natural, yes, even from natural sources, the NPK is exactly the same. You cannot change an atom. So it's not important what the source is. What is important is that in agriculture, and this is the key point, in agriculture, the soils get depleted. You only put NPK, but there are 20 minerals that are needed. So you increase the growth rate of the plant, and then what happens is all the other 17 minerals get depleted. And because they get depleted, the food is not as healthy as before. So if you do it natural, you tend to keep more of all the 20 minerals more or less in balance. But microalgae is very, very, very different. you got to put in, there's nothing in the water because the water that we use is so clean, drinking quality. You got to put in all the 20 elements, all the 20 minerals. So what you're doing is you're getting actually a very holistic food compared to even organic agriculture, because organic agriculture is not really scientific. You don't know what is really there. You're just hoping that nature will balance it. We balance it exactly. And so you get a far better range of the minerals. Now, what do you call, the third point was, sorry, what was the third point?
The consumption of whole foods is better than consuming processed foods.
Wow. You cannot get more wholesome of food than microalgae. Microalgae are by far the richest of all the nutrients and any food. They got everything. In fact, that is why the United Nations Food Conferences have always said that they are the healthiest of all food. There's no other food. For example, just take one of the microalgae, spirulina. It's got 33 of the 45 essentials. There's no plant food even close to that. So you can eat a whole apple, but you're only talking about 14, 15 nutrients in it. You can eat a whole everything, but you're only talking very few of all the essentials. Microalgae is far, far richer. Microalgae is not a one unit thing. Microalgae is wholesome fruit.
Thanks so much, Jack. I think you have definitely researched very well, and there's a lot of evidence to back it up, so your passion and years of being involved in this will definitely is highly very credible. So thanks for enlightening the audience on these questions. But I think should there be further questions, of course, you can take it offline with the speakers. I will quickly go through a few more questions because we're just coming to another 10 minutes before we close this session. So some of the audience have thanked the speakers for the response to their questions. We have got one from Brian Daniel, 11 years old, and this is to address to Reina. Can seahorses live longer than 5 years?
Okay, I'm going to take this question for Brian. Okay. All right. Yeah. Very, very direct answer would be a yes. Okay. All right. Great. All right. The average, I'm just going to share a little bit. The average of a seahorse lifespan is 5 years, but of course we have encountered seahorses with 8 years apart. So we go down to Johor for sampling to look for seahorses, and then we do a little tagging. So it's like putting a little bit, giving a name or a code for a seahorse. So this is how we recognize them out in the wild. All right. So there was one time, this one particular individual, 8 years after the first meeting, and we spotted this. I remember clearly, it's a male seahorse. So we spotted him again. So yeah. So they are able to live beyond the 5 years, but on average, it's just 5 years. 5 years. Great. In fact, interestingly, there's a colleague of mine who's on Twitter. He's been documenting this particular seahorse for a good 10 years now. So every time he goes diving in his backyard and it's a seahorse, this particular individual is there. So there are circumstances where they live longer, beyond 5 years.
And one point, Adam, if I may ask, the seahorses stay in the same place. They have the same postal address.
Yes. So the answer again would be yes, because the seahorses, like Rihanna mentioned, they are quite poor swimmers. So they rely, and they're also very, very sight faithful. So sight faithful here would mean is that, they would stick around in the same area, more so especially the males. You see, every morning, once the seahorses are paired, the female would go back into the same area to look for its male, for its partner. And without fear, every morning they would go for, in our terms, we call it dating. So every morning they would, try to strengthen their pair bonds. So it's without fear, every morning they would meet up and then they will go on a dance. So they're one of the best dancers at the bottom of the ocean. So go for his dance, strengthen their bond with one another until when the time is right, then they would do an even more elaborate dance, you know, from morning all the way up to about evening time, before, you know, whether the females will transfer the eggs into the male's pouch. So I think it's just nice, you know, Father's Day is this month as well. So one of the best fathers in the world.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, you know, at least we got a role model for fathers these days, the seahorses. Yeah, that's so very enlightening as well. Yeah, I think Adam should be very pleased with the answer that he has got.
Right.
Quickly go through another two more, and then we'll wrap up our session. And this is from Christina Kwok. She's all the way from Switzerland. Perhaps she's a Malaysian residing there. Have no idea about seahorses, not their cultural importance in Malaysia or other ASEAN region. Got in late in this webinar session, which Mr. Koo has responded. Can please follow we have got the recording on our YouTube. But she has got one question. She said, are they under threat like sharks and whale? And yeah, so that's one question. And then the other question is fascinating. We're happy to be here. And algae too. Does Malaysia export algae? So two questions, maybe one for Rina or Dr. Adam. That is on the threat. Are they threat like sharks and whales? And the other is for Jack.
Yes, so I'm gonna go ahead first with the seahorse question. All right. So yes, seahorses, like we mentioned earlier, they are quite poor swimmers. So unfortunately, they get caught up with a lot of this destruction to this habitat. So they rely very heavily on their habitat to compensate for their poor swimming ability. So if their habitat goes, they will be a lot more exposed. So that's more on the natural side. So in terms for, let's say, there's a destruction in the habitat or degradation over time, naturally the seahorse will be placed in more threat. But on the other hand, we have more, you know, anthropogenic ones, like for example, more common one where human-related trawl fishing is mentioned towards the back end of one of the main biggest threat is bottom trawling. So what it does is that, you know, this heavy net, huge net is being dredged all across the bottom of the ocean, and almost everything that lies in its path will get captured. So seahorses would stand no chance.
So they are indeed in great threat. So that's what, you know, the SOS and the works being done by Dr. Lim and Reina is hoping that we can also help to address, you know, and bring them back from the brink of threat. Right. So the other question for Jack will be that does Malaysia export algae?
As far as I know, we are the only ones growing microalgae in Malaysia on a commercial scale. And what we do is we don't export the microalgae themselves. We export the all 45 essentials, which we call the Joseph's all 45 essentials, because we feel that microalgae, while they are the healthiest of all, what we need to do is complete the nutrition. So for example, spirulina has got about 33 of the 45. What we need to do is complete it up to 45, and that's what we are selling. We are exporting here.
Okay, so the answer is yes. Yeah, you do. But you're saying that there is so much potential for others also to come in, you know, and make this into a good industry that can bring in a lot of. Yeah, we hope that the authorities are listening to you and you know, make things happen. I think we'll take one final question. Now we've come to an end, and then we'll do a conclusion. Mr. Koo will say something, and if time, you can give me 5 minutes. I'll try to take you to a tour of our center and see what more we can do. The final question comes from Mock. Mr. T.Y. Mock says, can microalgae be used for green hydrogen harvesting? Has anyone been currently doing a research on alternative green energy using microalgae?
Hydrogen has become a very hot topic. Yes, you can, because again, remember that microalgae are plants, and you can anaerobically digest them. You get methane, and then you can strip the hydrogen from the methane. But I think there are so many other more lucrative opportunities that the best option is always to take the lowest hanging fruits first, and then go on to the more difficult ones.
Correct. Okay, good. So the answer is yes, but you know, there are easier things or better things to be harvesting from microalgae.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we have come to, we have, I think, answered most of the questions. If we have missed anyone, so we're sorry because of the time constraints. But this video will also be available on our STEM for All Makerspace YouTube channel, and we also share the recording on our Facebook, right? So I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I think Mr. Koo, you can say something, and then I will try to take them. I'll get ready to take them for a tour.
Yeah, in the meantime, while you get ready, I will just basically say that we really appreciate the presentations by Jack and Rina. I think all the information you've given us is very, as they say, eye-opening and very informative. I was very impressed with the detail you covered, the seahorse biology and the ecology and the uses and the present need for more information after 20 years since the last survey. So it's a very interesting project, very important project that we should support. And I was going to say that I think if we can contribute in any way through the STEM for All Center and our EcoHub community, we can, try to do something. I think Ramesh is now going on to screen sharing.
I'm just trying. Okay. I'm just trying.
Okay, so I will still talk. And Jack, you've given a very good presentation on the importance of algae. You basically highlighted only one, which is spirulina, but there's so many different other species that can grow under your system, if I'm not mistaken, that can be applied for other uses, even for health purposes like astaxanthin, right? Yes, Hematococcus and all that. They're all very
lots of them.
So there's a lot more. And this is going to be an never-ending story, I believe, that we can continue to revisit, both for seahorses and for algae, visit and revisit over again, because there'll be layer upon layer of new information and new projects, I think, and new activities that will come about if we approach these two areas right. And I am happy that we managed to combine two different topics, algae and seahorses, under one presentation today. In recognition of World Oceans Day, which is the common bond between the algae and the seahorses. Although you don't normally speak of the two topics in the same context, but I feel they are related in this in certain ways. One is for the importance of our ecosystem, and the other is for the importance of our health. But you never know. There's so much more to discover about seahorses, and there could be relationships with algae that we don't know about, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So are you ready yet, Ramesh?
Yes, I'm ready. I can see my screen now.
Okay.
Yeah. So continuing what Mr. Koo has said, this is just the beginning. Meaning, we really looking forward for more such activities, but hopefully it can be carried out physically at our STEM for All Makerspace. So for the benefit of our speakers, as well as the viewers who are still watching us, I think we have got about 22 now watching on the YouTube station, and as well as about, I can't see the numbers here, 22 as well in our Zoom platform. This is our STEM for All Makerspace. We are located at the 3rd floor at Diamond Mall. As you enter, you will be greeted by our robot, to say welcome. Please sanitize yourself and then walk in. And here we have all the interesting contents, for little kids, preschoolers. We have got adventure in miniature, right? So they can spend their time with some facilitators teaching them how to create landscape at this particular area. And let's see if we can navigate. I'd like to take you through our makerspace. In fact, we have a lot of information overlay. Each of the project, if you click on, you can read and see what it says about a particular project. Like this flag was done in conjunction with Merdeka Day, right? Okay, so I will close this and I'll just try to navigate. I'll quickly take you to two of our very interesting or iconic things that will be of interest. So for our speakers, we welcome you to use the space. Like for example, if you want to display a temporary exhibition on seahorse or microalgae, these are the spaces that we can use. This was a previous exhibition with some of the universities in conjunction with Engineering Day. We had this displayed. We have a dedicated studio, to do recording. So should anybody want to come and have their materials recorded, it's very well designed with soundproofing, with audio and video equipment. So this is our STEM studio. And finally, perhaps I can just show you our maker space. Right, audience who are watching us, you can see that we've got a space here that actually teaches kids, not just kids, but I find that some parents too are very excited when they come to this particular zone. You have R2D2 to greet you, courtesy of our very talented maker, Daryl. Daryl is the one who is very much involved in setting up and running this space. So this space here is our maker space where kids and anybody can do programs, projects, not so much as projects, using wood, using cardboard, electronics. So we have got a laser cutter and we got 3D printers, to fabricate any kind of design. Right. So with that, we hope, I try to see if I can navigate to show you our what do you call? I call it our wall of fame. And we hope we can have Jack's organization and also the SEAHORSE. If you notice here, here we have got over 40 organizations, companies, which are not just companies, even universities and NGOs that are doing things to promote STEM education. So we welcome you. You can partner with us, park yourself, and as and when you have a program, we operate as a community hub. Meaning it's not so commercial, as long as we can cover our overheads. Diamond Mall is very, very supportive, all right, to say that come and do activities for the benefit of communities, all right. So I think with that, Mr. Koo, I will pass it back to you. If you, I will stop sharing the screen so that we can see and, sign off officially.
Thank you very much.
Right. Okay.
So thank you very much. Very quickly, I will just have maybe Jack, Rina, and Adam. Any last words before we sign off? We come to the end, but can give you 1 minute or half a minute. Jack.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with this what do you call, walk through your facility.
STEM for all. Yes, make a space.
Yeah. Excellent. I think it's a damn good thing. I would love to be part of it.
Thank you very much. Rina?
I just want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope the talk was useful, and great talk by Jack as well. Very insightful.
Yeah, everybody's asking for a recording of it, so we'll try to get you and this across. Adam, last words. Any summary words? Yeah.
Yep. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You forgot to mention your book. Please make a mention of your book.
All right. Just a quick one. I actually published a children's storybook. It's called A Seahorse Story. So it's based on a seahorse living down in Johor, right? Something that turned out I got it to self-publish during the first MCO. So I'll be more than happy to share more over at the center. Let's stay safe, get things sorted out. And when it's safe for us to do so, I'll be more than happy to talk more about a book, or even share. Probably can do an event over there for book reading.
Okay, fantastic. So actually, we had two very enlightening and useful sessions, and I'd like to thank the speakers and Adam and Ramesh, everybody for making this possible. And I must also give acknowledgement to Exxon Consultancy, Mr. Lo Jun Jack for generously hosting the Zoom platform for today, which all this was made very possible, technically last minute and all that, but very good to all those, including Daryl and William, to make this possible. In the background, you don't see them, but they made it all possible. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone who also attended, and both on this YouTube and also on the Facebook. So with that, we like to put an end to this. Call the webinar to a close, and to remember this Oceans Day today, 8 June 2021, as a very memorable one. Yes, would you like to say something?
Brian just put a message in YouTube. He asked, how can he get a book from Dr. Adam? Dr. Adam, can you put your link there so that he can access or he like to purchase the book that is from Brian? He's a very excited 11-year-old and he's posting a lot of interesting stuff and he's so excited. He wants to learn a lot more about seahorses.
Great. And can I also propose that you make your books available at our space, at STEM for All Makers Space?
Yes.
Yep. That would be excellent. Probably what I can do is I can, take a few screenshots and how we can get that. I'll send it to you guys and you can post it up in STEM for All Makers.
Do you have a copy with you now?
I have to reach out for it. Just give me a minute.
There's one more thing I would like to suggest. We do a lot of 3D printing in our makerspace. Perhaps you can collaborate with Dr. Adam and Rina to come up with 3D printed seahorses. Could be various sizes, and that could be one of your generation for income generation things that you can actually sell off.
All right.
Something that would be keen to help you all with. You can collaborate on that. Oh, very nice book.
Yeah. So this is a seahorse story. All right.
No, we are on.
Yeah. So I will be, of course, you'll be posting better pictures. I'll send it over to STEM for All Makers, so you can post it on your page, and then how we can get in contact with Brian as well. All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again. So to the viewers, thank you all for watching. I forgot to acknowledge those who are also watching on our YouTube, So at the peak, we had 31 of them watching and also giving some comments. Most of the comments were very complimentary, or all the comments, I must say, are very complimentary. So there's nothing critical. And thank you, Jack and Dr. Adam and Rina. On behalf of STEM for All Makerspace, we look forward to hosting more events physically this time at our space. Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.